The morning sun rose over New Terra just like it had for the past 50 years. Children walked to school while their parents prepared for another day of work in the farms and factories. The colony had grown from a small settlement to a thriving world of 800,000 people. They grew food that fed dozens of other human worlds and built machines that made life better across human space. Maria Santos stood on her porch, watching her daughter Elena run toward the school transport. The 7-year-old girl turned back and waved, her smile bright in the morning light. Maria waved back, not knowing it would be the last time she would ever see her daughter alive. The attack came without warning. Zephyrian warships dropped out of hyperspace at exactly 847 local time. There were 12 of them, each one the size of a small city. Their dark metal hulls blocked out the sun as they moved into position above New Terra's major cities. Captain James Miller was drinking his morning coffee in the New Terra defense station when the alarm started screaming. He ran to the command center, where his small crew of 20 defense operators stared at their screens in shock. "Sir, we have 12 unknown ships in orbit," reported Lieutenant Sarah Park. Her voice shook as she spoke. "They're not responding to our signals." Captain Miller looked at the tactical display. The New Terra defense station had 6 small patrol ships and a handful of orbital defense platforms. They were meant to stop pirates and smugglers, not a fleet of warships. "Send an emergency signal to Earth Command," Miller ordered. "Tell them we need help now." The message would take 6 hours to reach Earth. Help, if it came, would take weeks. High above New Terra, Admiral Crix of the Zephyrian hegemony stood on the bridge of his flagship. The massive alien looked down at the human world through the viewing ports. His 4 arms moved across the control panels as he prepared to give the order that would change everything. "The humans think they are safe in their little corner of space," Crix said to his officers. "They think their peaceful ways make them strong. Today we show them how wrong they are." The Zephyrians had ruled over dozens of star systems for 300 years. They took what they wanted and destroyed what they could not use. Other alien races feared them and stayed out of their way. But the humans were different. The humans had something the Zephyrians wanted: rich worlds, advanced technology, and a reputation for being weak. "Send the demand for surrender, Admiral." Crix ordered. The message was broadcast across all frequencies on New Terra. Captain Miller and millions of other humans heard the cold, mechanical voice of the Zephyrian translator system. "Humans of New Terra, you will surrender immediately. Your world now belongs to the Zephyrian hegemony. Those who resist will be eliminated. Those who submit will be relocated to work camps. You have 10 minutes to respond." Captain Miller grabbed the communication device with shaking hands. "This is Captain James Miller of the New Terra Defense Force. We are a peaceful colony. We have done nothing to threaten you. Please explain why you are here." The response came quickly. "Your weakness is reason enough? 10 minutes." Across New Terra, people stopped what they were doing and looked up at the sky. Parents pulled their children close. Teachers tried to keep their students calm. Emergency services prepared for the worst, though none of them really understood what was coming. Maria Santos watched the news reports on her wall screen. The reporter, a young man named David Chun, was trying to stay calm as he explained what was happening. "The alien ships are not responding to diplomatic channels," David said. "Governor Harrison has declared a planetary emergency. All citizens should remain in their homes and await further instructions." Maria felt her hands shake as she thought about Elena at school. She grabbed her car keys and ran outside, but it was already too late. The first energy beam hit the planetary capital at exactly 0857 local time. The governor's building, the spaceport, and 3 city blocks around them simply vanished. One moment they were there, the next moment there was only a smoking crater. More beams followed. The Zephyrian ships targeted everything that looked important: schools, hospitals, factories, power plants. They did not aim to conquer. They aimed to terrorize. Captain Miller watched his defense platforms die one by one. The human weapons could not even scratch the Zephyrian shields. His patrol ships were destroyed before they could fire a single shot. Sir, we're getting reports from all over the planet, Lieutenant Park said, tears running down her face. They're hitting civilian targets, schools, hospitals, everything. Miller closed his eyes for a moment. His job was to protect New Terra, but he had failed. His small force was like a child with a stick trying to fight a giant with a sword. Keep broadcasting our surrender, he ordered. Maybe they'll stop if we give up? But the Zephyrians did not. Stop. Surrender was not what they wanted. They wanted to send a message to humanity and to the rest of the galaxy. The message was simple. This is what happens to those who appear weak. The attack on New Terra lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 800,000 people were dead or missing. The beautiful farms were burned fields. The cities were rubble. The spaceport was a crater. Only a few thousand survivors remained, hiding in underground shelters or remote areas. At the same time, similar attacks hit Horizon Station and Verdant Plains. Horizon Station was a trading post and research facility with 300,000 people. The Zephyrians destroyed the station and enslaved the survivors. Verdant Plains was an agricultural world that fed 20 other human colonies. The Zephyrians burned the crops and took 50,000 humans as slaves. In 6 hours, the Zephyrian hegemony had killed or enslaved 2.3 million human beings. The news reached Earth exactly 6 hours and 14 minutes after the first attack. Admiral Sarah Chun was in her office at Terra Command when the emergency signal came through. She was reviewing supply reports and thinking about her retirement, which was only 2 years away. The communication officer burst into her office without knocking. Admiral, we have an emergency signal from New Terra. Multiple alien warships have attacked the colony. Admiral Chun felt the blood drain from her face. Her sister Lisa lived on New Terra with her husband and 2 children. Elena was 7. Michael was 4. Show me, she said quietly. The holographic display showed the last transmission from New Terra. Captain Miller's face appeared, covered in dust and blood. Behind him, fires burned in what had been the defense station. Terra Command, this is New Terra Defense. We are under attack by unknown alien forces, massive casualties. The colony is lost. Tell Earth. Tell them we tried. Tell them. The transmission cut off as another energy beam destroyed the last communication tower. Admiral. Chun stared at the empty hologram for a long moment. Around her, the staff waited for orders. They expected her to call for diplomatic contact, to send messages asking for talks, to follow the peaceful protocols that humanity had used for over a century. Instead, Admiral Chun walked to her safe and entered a code that had not been used in 200 years. Inside was a red folder marked with symbols that most humans had forgotten. She opened the folder and began to read protocols that had been written when humanity was very different than it was today. Contact the Colonial Council, she said finally. Tell them to activate the Lazarus protocols. All of them. The communication officer looked confused. Admiral, I don't know what the Lazarus protocols are. Admiral Chun looked at him with eyes that had suddenly become very cold. You will, and so will every Zephyrian in the galaxy. She picked up the red folder and walked toward the door. As she reached it, she stopped and spoke without turning around. And send a message to all human colonies. Tell them the quiet time is over. The Colonial Council met in emergency session 12 hours after the attacks. Representatives from 47 human worlds gathered in the secure chamber beneath Terra Command. Most of them arrived by quantum communication link, their holographic forms filling the circular room. Admiral Sarah Chun stood at the center, the red folder open on the table before her. She had not slept since receiving the news from New Terra. Her sister Lisa and her family were gone, along with 2.3 million other innocent people. The Zephyrian hegemony has committed an act of unprovoked genocide, Chun began. Her voice was steady, but those who knew her could see the pain in her eyes. They destroyed 3 of our worlds without warning, without demands, without any attempt at communication. Council Member Williams from Alpha Centauri spoke first. Admiral, we must contact the Galactic Union. Surely they will condemn this attack and demand justice. Chun looked at the older man with something that might have been pity. The Galactic Union is terrified of the Zephyrians. They have been for 300 years. They will offer sympathy and do nothing else. Then what do you suggest? Asked Representative Park from the mining colonies. We are a peaceful people. We have no military beyond patrol ships and defense platforms. Admiral Chan picked up the red folder. That is what we have told ourselves for 200 years. That is what we have told the galaxy, but it is not the truth. She opened the folder and began to read. Protocol 77 Alpha. In the event of existential threat to human civilization, the Colonial Council is authorized to activate all dormant military assets and recall all deep cover personnel. The room fell silent. Many of the representatives looked confused. They had never heard of dormant military assets or deep cover personnel. Council member Richards from New Geneva raised his hand. Admiral, what are you talking about? We dismantled our military forces after the peace accords of 2387. No, Chun said quietly. We hid them. She activated the holographic display. A star map appeared showing human space. But this map was different from the ones in the public databases. It showed dozens of facilities that were not supposed to exist. Facility 7 in the Titan asteroid belt, Chun said, pointing to a red dot. Officially, it is a mining station. In reality, it contains 48 heavy cruisers that have been in mothball status for 2 centuries. Another dot appeared. Research Station 12 near Proxima Centauri. The official records say it studies solar phenomena. It actually builds and tests weapons that would make the Zephyrians think twice about attacking anyone. More dots appeared. Across the map, secret shipyards, hidden weapons depots, training facilities disguised as agricultural worlds. The representatives stared in shock as they realized that their peaceful civilization had been built on top of a sleeping war machine. This is impossible, whispered Representative Chun from the outer colonies. How could we not know? Admiral Chun touched another control. New information appeared on the display. Personnel files, thousands of them. Captain Robert Martinez, official occupation, farmer on Harvest World, she read. Actual occupation, former commander of the 7th Strike Fleet, one of the most decorated officers in human history. Another file appeared. Dr. Elizabeth Harper, official occupation, university professor on New Cambridge. Actual occupation, chief, designer of quantum entanglement communication systems for military use. Professor James Kim, official occupation, historian on academic station. Actual occupation, former head of human intelligence operations with operatives placed in 17 different alien governments. The files kept coming. Farmers who were actually generals, teachers who were actually weapons specialists, merchants who were actually intelligence agents. Thousands of people living normal lives while keeping the most dangerous secrets in human space. Representative Williams looked pale. Why? Why hide all of this? Admiral Chun closed the folder. Because we learned from our past. Humanity almost destroyed itself with war. We fought each other for centuries before we reached the stars. When we finally achieved peace, our leaders made a choice. They would keep the weapons and the soldiers but hide them. They would present humanity as peaceful to the galaxy while staying ready for the day when peace was not enough. She walked around the table, looking at each representative. The Zephyrians attacked us because they thought we were weak. They thought our peaceful nature meant we could not fight. They were wrong. Councilmember Park leaned forward. What are you asking us to do, Admiral? I am asking you to authorize the activation of the Lazarus protocols, all of them. Every hidden ship, every secret weapon, every deep cover agent. I'm asking you to let humanity show the galaxy who we really are. The debate that followed lasted 6 hours. Some representatives argued for diplomacy. Others worried about the cost of war. A few questioned whether the hidden military assets even still existed after 200 years. Admiral Chen answered their questions with facts and figures that she had memorized from the red folder. The hidden fleets were maintained by automated systems. The weapons were upgraded regularly by personnel who thought they were working on civilian projects. The intelligence network was still active, still reporting, still ready, finally. Councilmember Williams called for a vote. All those in favor of activating the Lazarus protocols? 47 hands rose. The vote was unanimous. Admiral Chun felt something cold settle in her chest. She had hoped it would never come to this. She had spent her entire career believing that humanity's peaceful ways would protect them. Now she knew better. Very well, she said. I hereby activate Protocol 77 Alpha. Authorization Code Lazarus Prime 1. The communication systems throughout human space suddenly came alive with signals that had not been sent in 200 years. On Harvest World, Farmer Robert Martinez received a message on a device he had not touched in decades. He read it once, then walked to his barn and moved aside hay bales to reveal a hidden communication terminal. This is Martinez, he said into the device. Confirming activation order. Request immediate status report on all assets. On New Cambridge. Professor Elizabeth Harper was teaching a class about ancient Earth history when her watch began to vibrate. In a pattern she had memorized long ago, she calmly dismissed her students and walked to her private office. Behind a false wall was a computer terminal that connected her to the deepest secrets in human space. Harper online, she said. Beginning immediate activation of all stealth communication networks. On Academic Station, Professor James Kim was grading papers when his coffee cup began to glow softly from within. He reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a device that looked like an old book. When he opened it, the pages displayed intelligence reports from across the galaxy. Kim here, he said to the device, requesting immediate contact with all embedded assets. Authorization Lazarus Prime 1 confirmed. Across human space, similar scenes played out. Shopkeepers revealed themselves as former admirals. Mechanics showed that they were actually starship engineers. Librarians activated communication networks that reached into the heart of alien governments. In the hidden facility near Titan, massive machines that had slept for 2 centuries began to wake up. Automated systems started the process of bringing 48 warships out of storage. These were not the small patrol boats that defended human colonies. These were ships of the line, built for one purpose, to fight and win wars against anyone who threatened humanity. Admiral Chun watched the status reports pour in from across human space. Every hidden facility was responding, every secret asset was coming online. Every deep cover agent was confirming their readiness. But the most important message came from the Outer Rim, from a facility so secret that even Chun had only learned of its existence an hour earlier. The message was simple. Project Prometheus is operational. We are ready to deploy. Chin did not know what Project Prometheus was, but the look on the faces of the council members who did know told her it was something that would change everything. Representative Richards spoke quietly. Admiral, are you sure about this? Once we start down this path, there is no going back. Chun thought about her sister Lisa. She thought about little Elena who would never grow up, and Michael who would never learn to ride a bicycle. She thought about 2.3 million people who had died for no reason other than the Zephyrians thought humans were weak. The Zephyrians made their choice when they attacked our civilians, she said. Now we make ours. She opened the red folder too. The last page, and read the words that would echo across the galaxy. Protocol 77 Alpha is now active. All assets are authorized for immediate deployment. Rules of engagement. There are no rules. The enemy showed no mercy to our civilians. We will show no mercy to them. The quiet time was over. Humanity was awake, and the galaxy was about to learn what that really meant. Admiral Crix stood on his flagship bridge, watching the reports from his commanders. The human colonies had been destroyed as planned. Their small defense forces had been crushed without effort. The operation had been a complete success. Sir, we are receiving surrender signals from several human worlds, reported his tactical officer. They are offering to submit to our rule. Crix felt satisfaction flow through his forearms. The humans were behaving exactly as predicted. They were weak, And now they knew it. Ignore their surrenders, he ordered. Continue with the second phase, attack their industrial worlds. We want them to understand that resistance is pointless. What Admiral Crix did not know was that his communications were being monitored. Every order he gave was recorded by devices so small and advanced that his own technicians could not detect them. The information flowed through quantum channels to a listening post that officially did not exist. Professor James Kim sat in his hidden office beneath Academic Station, reading the intercepted Zephyrian communications. His fingers moved across the quantum keyboard as he sent updates to his agents throughout the galaxy. Target confirmed, he transmitted. Crix's flagship is the command center. All fleet movements are coordinated from there. Recommend immediate infiltration. The response came from an agent embedded deep within the Zephyrian supply chain. Understood. Maintenance Crew 77 will board flagship tomorrow. Agent Marcus is ready? Captain Marcus Torres had been working as a maintenance technician on Zephyrian supply ships for 3 years. His official records showed him as a refugee from a destroyed human trading post. In reality, he was one of humanity's most skilled. Infiltration specialist Torres received his orders while repairing a waste processing unit on a Zephyrian cargo ship. The message appeared on his scanner for exactly 3 seconds before deleting itself. It was enough time for him to memorize every detail. The next morning, Torres joined a maintenance crew heading to Admiral Crix's flagship. The massive ship needed routine repairs after the attack on human space. The Zephyrians never suspected that one of their maintenance workers was actually a human soldier. Torres made his way through the ship's corridors, his scanner mapping every section. He placed tiny listening devices in key locations and copied data from computer terminals. But most importantly, he accessed the ship's central database. What he found there made his blood run cold. The attack on New Terra, Horizon Station, and Verdant Plains was just the beginning. The Zephyrians had plans to attack 12 more human worlds. They intended to enslave or eliminate every human in the galaxy, but there was something else in the database. Something that showed the Zephyrians had made a terrible mistake. Intelligence reports from other alien species. Files that showed the Zephyrians had been studying humanity for years, trying to understand their technology and military capabilities. But the reports were all wrong. Every piece of information they had gathered was false. The truth hit Torres like a physical blow. The intelligence network that Professor Kim had built was not just for gathering information. It was also for spreading false information. For decades, human agents had been feeding the Zephyrians and other alien species lies about human capabilities. They had made humanity look weak on purpose. Torres quickly copied the files and sent them through his hidden transmitter. Within minutes, the information reached every human command center in the galaxy. Admiral Chun read the intelligence report in her command center on Earth. The Zephyrians thought human ships were slow and poorly armed. They thought human soldiers were untrained civilians. They thought human technology was primitive. They have no idea what they are facing, Chun said to her staff. They think we are still using chemical rockets and projectile weapons. Her tactical officer, Commander Park, looked at the data. Admiral, their entire battle plan is based on fighting an enemy that does not exist. They expect us to flee or surrender after losing a few ships. Chun felt a cold smile cross her face. Then let us show them how wrong they are. The first human counterattack came 18 hours later. The Zephyrian Second Fleet was moving toward the human industrial world of New Pittsburgh when their sensors detected approaching ships. Admiral, we have 6 human vessels on an intercept course, reported the fleet's sensor operator. They appear to be cargo ships. Admiral Voss, commander of the Second Fleet, looked at the display with contempt. Cargo ships? Are the humans trying to ram us with trading vessels? Destroy them quickly and continue to the target. The Zephyrian warships opened fire with their energy weapons. The beams struck the human ships and bounced off harmlessly. What? Admiral Voss stared at his tactical display. Report. Why did our weapons have no effect? Before his officers could answer, the human ships began to change. Outer hull sections folded away, revealing sleek warships underneath. What had looked like slow cargo vessels were actually advanced military ships using holographic disguises. The human ships opened fire. Their weapons were unlike anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. Instead of energy beams, they fired projectiles that moved faster than light itself. The projectiles passed through Zephyrian shields as if they did not exist and struck the hulls of the alien ships. The first Zephyrian ship exploded in seconds. The second ship tried to run, but human missiles caught it before it could escape. The missiles did not just destroy the ship, they seemed to eat it, breaking down the metal and turning it into raw materials. Admiral Voss watched his fleet die around him. In less than 10 minutes, 6 human ships had destroyed 24 Zephyrian warships. It should have been impossible. Send an emergency signal to all hegemony forces, he ordered as his own ship began to break apart under human fire. The humans! They are not what we thought. They are... The transmission ended as his flagship exploded. The news of the Second Fleet's destruction reached Admiral Crix within hours. He read the report 3 times, unable to believe what he was seeing. This must be a mistake, he told his staff. 6 cargo ships cannot destroy an entire fleet. His intelligence officer, a nervous creature with too many eyes, spoke carefully. Sir, we are receiving similar reports from across the battle zone. Human forces are using technology we have never seen before. Our weapons cannot penetrate their defenses. Crix felt fear creep into his mind for the first time in decades. Impossible. Our intelligence reports show that humans are technologically inferior. Sir, the intelligence officer said even more quietly, what if our intelligence reports were wrong? Before Crix could answer, alarms began to sound throughout his ship. His tactical officer shouted across the bridge, Sir, we are detecting massive human fleet movements. Hundreds of ships are coming out of hyperspace. The main display showed a sight that made Crix's blood turn cold. Human ships were appearing everywhere. Not just a few dozen, but hundreds, thousands, ship designs that did not exist in any Zephyrian database. Weapons that fired faster than thought. Defenses that turned the most powerful Zephyrian weapons into harmless light shows, but the most terrifying thing was not the ships themselves. It was how they moved. Every human ship acted as part of a single mind. They coordinated perfectly across light years of space. When one ship detected an enemy, every other ship in the fleet knew about it instantly. When one ship fired, others supported it with perfect timing. The Zephyrians had never seen anything like it. Their own fleets needed minutes to communicate between ships. The humans seemed to think as one vast organism. Admiral Crix tried to contact his other fleet commanders, but the communications were being jammed by human electronic warfare systems. His sensors showed Zephyrian ships dying across a dozen star systems, but he could not coordinate a response. Then his own ship shuddered as something attached to the hull. Sir, we have a boarding party, reported his security chief. They came through the hull as if it were not there. Crix drew his weapon and headed for the bridge entrance. Whatever was coming for him, he would face it like a warrior. But when the doors opened, he found himself staring at a single human in strange armor. The human was not very large by Zephyrian standards, but there was something in his eyes that made Crix step backward. Admiral Crix of the Zephyrian hegemony. The human said in perfect Zephyrian language, I am Captain Marcus Torres of Human Intelligence. You are now my prisoner. Crix raised his weapon, but before he could fire, the human moved. Torres crossed the distance between them faster than Crix could track and struck him with something that sent electricity through his body. Crix collapsed, paralyzed but conscious. Torres knelt beside the fallen admiral. Your species made a mistake, he said quietly. You assumed that peaceful meant weak. You assumed that quiet meant helpless. You assumed that because we chose not to fight, we did not know how. He stood up and spoke into his communication device. This is Torres, target secured. Begin phase 2 of the operation. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Zephyrian commanders found their ships boarded by humans who appeared from nowhere. Their bases were infiltrated by agents who had been living among them for years. Their communication networks were taken over by systems they had never detected. In less than 48 hours, the Zephyrian hegemony's military command structure simply stopped existing. The emergency session of the Galactic Union took place on the neutral world of Harmony Station. Representatives from 43 different species gathered in the Great Hall, their various forms of communication devices buzzing with nervous energy. Chancellor Vex of the Altarian Republic called for order. His blue skin had turned pale with worry. We are here to discuss the current situation involving the humans and the Zephyrian hegemony. As you all know, massive human fleets have appeared throughout the galaxy. They have destroyed or captured most of the Zephyrian military in less than 3 days. Ambassador Quinn of the Peaceful Trading Alliance raised one of her 6 arms. Chancellor, we demand to know how this is possible. Our intelligence report said the humans had no significant military force. That is what we all believed, Chancellor Vex replied. It appears we were wrong. In the back of the hall, a figure in simple brown robes stood up. Most of the representatives had never seen this person before. The identification scanner showed only human observer, Dr. Elizabeth Harper. If I may speak, Dr. Harper said in a calm voice. The hall fell silent. This was the first time in galactic history that a human had addressed the full Galactic Union. For 200 years, you have known us as the quiet species, Dr. Harper began. We traded with you, talked with you, shared our knowledge with you. We followed your laws, respected your customs, and caused no trouble. She walked down the center aisle, her simple appearance contrasting with the elaborate dress of the other ambassadors. You saw this as weakness. Many of you thought we were afraid of conflict. Some of you thought we were too primitive to be a threat. The Zephyrians thought we were easy targets. Dr. Harper reached the center of the hall and turned to face all the representatives at once. You were all wrong. We were not weak. We were careful. We were not afraid. We were patient. We were not primitive. We were prepared. Chancellor Vex leaned forward. Dr. Harper, what exactly are you telling us? I am telling you that everything you thought you knew about humanity is a lie that we created. For 2 centuries, we have hidden our true nature from the galaxy. We allowed you to believe we were harmless because it suited our purposes. The hall erupted in angry voices. Representatives shouted questions and accusations. Dr. Harper waited for the noise to die down before continuing. The Zephyrian hegemony has ruled through fear for 300 years. They have enslaved dozens of species. They have destroyed entire civilizations. And you all knew this, but you did nothing because you were afraid. Ambassador Quinn's voice shook with anger. We maintained peace. We prevented galactic war. You enabled genocide, Dr. Harper replied coldly. You allowed the strong to prey on the weak because it was easier than fighting. Well, now someone stronger has arrived. A new voice spoke from the entrance to the hall. And we are not interested in your approval. Admiral Sarah Chun walked into the hall wearing the full dress uniform of the human colonial navy. The uniform was black with silver trim, and it carried symbols that no alien had ever seen before. Behind her came 6 human officers, each wearing similar uniforms that seemed to absorb light. Chancellor Vex stared at the humans in shock. Admiral Chun, what is the meaning of this intrusion? This is not an intrusion, Chun replied. This is a declaration. The Zephyrian hegemony committed acts of genocide against human civilians. They killed 2.3 million innocent people without warning or cause. We are here to inform you that the hegemony no longer exists. The silence in the hall was complete. No one moved. No one spoke. Impossible, whispered Ambassador Mole of the Crystalline Confederation. The hegemony controls hundreds of worlds and thousands of ships. Controlled, Chun corrected, past tense. As of this morning, the last Zephyrian military installation surrendered to human forces. Admiral Crix and his senior commanders are in our custody. The hegemony's government has been dissolved. She activated a holographic projector that showed a map of the galaxy. Red areas marked former Zephyrian territory. As the representatives watched, the red areas began turning blue. Every world that was under Zephyrian control is now under human protection. Every species that was enslaved by the hegemony is now free. Every resource that was stolen by the Zephyrians is being returned to its rightful owners. Representative Thok of the warrior clan stood up. His massive form towered over the other aliens. Human, you speak of protection and freedom, but what you have done is conquest. You have taken control of a third of the galaxy. Admiral Chun looked at the giant alien without fear. We have liberated a third of the galaxy. There is a difference. What difference? Thok demanded. Chun touched a control on her projector. The display changed to show human fleets throughout former Zephyrian space. But instead of occupying the worlds, the human ships were helping with reconstruction. We are not conquerors. Chun sighed. We are liberators. Watch. The display showed human ships landing on a world called Keth Prime. The Ket people had been enslaved by the Zephyrians for 50 years. The humans did not establish bases or claim territory. Instead, they provided food, medicine, and technology to help the Ket rebuild their civilization. Another image showed human engineers working with the Vrex people to restore their industrial capacity. The Vrex had been forced to work in Zephyrian factories for decades. Now they were learning to build their own factories again. On every liberated world, we have done the same thing, Chun explained. We provide help, not rule. We offer protection, not occupation. And when each species is ready to govern itself again, we leave. Chancellor Vex found his voice. And what about the Zephyrians themselves? What have you done with them? The military leaders who ordered the attacks on our colonies are being tried for war crimes. The ordinary soldiers who followed orders are being given the chance to return to civilian life. The Zephyrian civilians are being helped to build a new government that does not depend on conquest and slavery. Dr. Harper stepped forward again. But we are not here to ask for your permission or approval. We are here to tell you what happens next. She looked around the hall, meeting the eyes of every representative. The age of allowing the strong to prey on the weak is over. From now on, any species that attacks civilians, enslaves other races, or commits genocide will answer to humanity. We will not ask for galactic consensus. We will not wait for committee debates. We will act. Representative Quinn stood up quickly. You cannot simply declare yourself the police force of the galaxy. Who gave you that authority? Admiral Chen's voice became very quiet, but somehow every being in the hall could hear her clearly. The same authority that allowed the Zephyrians to commit genocide for 300 years while you all did nothing. The authority of being strong enough to stop evil when we see it. She touched another control on her projector. The display showed something that made every alien in the hall step backward in fear. Human ships were everywhere. Not just hundreds or thousands, but hundreds of thousands. They filled star systems from the galactic core to the outer rim. Ship designs that were beyond anything the aliens had imagined. Weapons that could destroy planets. Defenses that could stop entire fleets. This is what we really are, Chun said. This is what we have always been. We chose to hide it because we hoped the galaxy could police itself. We hoped that reason and diplomacy could prevent the worst atrocities. She gestured toward the display. We were wrong, so now we do it ourselves. Chancellor Vex struggled to find words. Admiral, the scale of this military force. How long have you been building these ships? We never stopped building them, Dr. Harper answered. Even during our most peaceful periods, we continued to advance our technology and expand our capabilities. We learned from our own history that peace only lasts when someone is strong enough to protect it. Admiral Chun walked closer to the center of the hall. We are not interested in ruling the galaxy. We are not interested in building an empire. We are only interested in making sure that what happened to our colonies never happens to anyone else. She stopped and looked directly at Chancellor. Vex, you can work with us to build a better galaxy, or you can try to oppose us. But you cannot ignore us anymore. The Chancellor swallowed hard. What do you want from us? Nothing, Chun replied. We want nothing from you. We offer you the same thing we have offered every liberated world, cooperation if you choose it, protection if you need it, and freedom to make your own choices as long as those choices do not hurt others. She turned to address the entire hall. The Galactic Union can continue to exist if you wish. You can keep your debates and your committees and your diplomatic protocols. But understand this. If any member of the Union commits genocide, enslaves other species, or attacks civilians, they will answer to us. And we will not be gentle. Dr. Harper stepped forward one last time. We gave you 200 years to create a just and peaceful galaxy. You failed. Now we will do it our way. Admiral Chun and her officers turned and walked toward the exit. As they reached the door, Chen stopped and spoke without turning around. The Zephyrians thought we were weak because we chose peace. Learn from their mistake. We chose peace because we were strong enough to enforce it. Now the galaxy will see what happens when we stop choosing. 6 months after the fall of the Zephyrian hegemony, Admiral Sarah Chun stood on the observation deck of her flagship, looking out at the stars. The massive ship hung in space above New Terra, watching over the reconstruction of the world where her sister had died, the planet below was healing. Human engineering teams had worked alongside the few survivors to rebuild the cities and restore the farmland. Where there had once been craters and ash, new buildings rose toward the sky. Green fields stretched across continents that had been burned black. "Admiral," Commander Park said from behind her, "we have received the final reports from all liberated sectors." Chin turned from the window. "What is the status?" "All former Zephyrian worlds have established new governments. The Ket people have elected their first free council in 50 years. The Vrex have rebuilt their industrial capacity and are trading with their neighbors again. The Tellar have reopened their universities," Chun nodded, "and the Zephyrians themselves. The war crimes trials are complete. Admiral Crix and his senior commanders have been sentenced to life imprisonment on a rehabilitation world. The ordinary soldiers have been given the chance to start new lives. Most of them have chosen to do so." "Good," Chun said quietly. "What about the new Zephyrian government?" "They have officially apologized to all the species their predecessors harmed. They have signed treaties promising never to enslave or attack other races. Their new constitution forbids aggressive military action." Chun walked to her desk and picked up a datapad. It contained reports from across the galaxy. Every week, she received updates on hundreds of worlds, thousands of species, millions of individual lives that had been changed by humanity's intervention. "Commander," she said, "do you ever wonder if we did the right thing?" Park looked surprised by the question. "Admiral, we saved countless lives. We freed dozens of enslaved species. We stopped a genocide that had been going on for centuries." "Yes," Chen agreed, "but we also revealed ourselves to the galaxy. We showed them what we really are. There's no going back to being the quiet, peaceful species we pretended to be." She activated the holographic display on her desk. It showed a map of the galaxy, but not the way it had looked 6 months earlier. Human patrol routes crisscrossed between star systems. Human listening posts monitored communications across known space. Human agents continued to work within alien governments, no longer hiding but openly serving as advisors and observers. "We have become what we never wanted to be," Chun continued. "The galaxy's police force. The ultimate authority that decides what is right and wrong." Commander Park frowned. "But Admiral, someone needs to do it. The Galactic Union proved they could not stop atrocities like the hegemony." "I know," Chun said. "That is what makes it necessary, and that is what makes it dangerous." She touched a control, and the display changed to show a new image. Human shipyards, no longer hidden, were producing vessels at an incredible rate. The ships were not weapons of war but tools of peace: hospital ships, construction vessels, exploration craft, and yes, patrol ships to keep the peace. "We have become the guardians of galactic civilization," Chun said. "But who will guard us? Who will stop us if we become what the Zephyrians were?" Before Commander Park could answer, the communication system activated. "Admiral Chun to the bridge," came the voice of the duty officer. "We have an urgent message from Earth Command." Chun and Park made their way to the bridge, where the main display showed the face of Director Walsh, the head of Human Intelligence Operations. His expression was serious. "Admiral," Walsh said, "we have a situation developing in the outer spiral. A species called the Dominar have begun attacking their neighbors. Early reports suggest they are using chemical weapons against civilian populations." Chun felt a familiar cold feeling in her chest. What do we know about them? They are a relatively new spacefaring race. First contact was made only 20 years ago. They seemed peaceful at the time, but something has changed. They have conquered 3 star systems in the past month. How many casualties? Chun asked. Unknown, but estimates suggest hundreds of thousands of civilians are dead or dying. Chun closed her eyes for a moment. She thought about her sister Lisa, about little Elena and Michael, about all the innocent people who had died because evil was allowed to flourish. "Send a diplomatic message to the Dominar leadership," she ordered. "Tell them to cease all military operations immediately and withdraw from occupied territories. Give them 24 hours to respond, and if they refuse?" Commander Park asked. June opened her eyes and looked at the star map. "Then we remind the galaxy why the quiet time is over." The response from the Dominar came 18 hours later. Their leader, Supreme Commander Throax, appeared on the communication screen with what might have been a sneer on his alien features. "Humans," he said in a voice full of contempt, "we know of your reputation. You destroyed the Zephyrians with trickery and hidden weapons. But we are not the Zephyrians. We are prepared for you." He leaned closer to the camera. "We have studied your methods. We have built defenses against your technology. We have prepared our worlds for siege. You cannot defeat us as easily as you defeated them." Chun listened to the message without expression. When it ended, she turned to her communications officer. "Send a response," she said. "Tell Supreme Commander Throax that he has made the same mistake the Zephyrians made. He assumes he understands what he is facing." She paused, thinking about the words that would either prevent a war or start one. "Tell him that we do not want to destroy his people. We only want him to stop killing innocents. But if he chooses to continue his aggression, we will show him the difference between the Zephyrians and humanity. The Zephyrians conquered through fear. We liberate through overwhelming force." The Dominar response came even faster this time. It was not words but actions. Long-range sensors detected Dominar fleets moving toward the border of human space. They were not retreating. They were preparing to attack. Admiral Chun looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. These were good people who had signed up to explore the stars and protect their families. Now they were about to become the instruments of galactic justice once again. "All ships," she announced over the fleet communication system. "This is Admiral Chun. The Dominar have chosen to continue their aggression against innocent civilians. They have also chosen to threaten human space. We will now show them why that was a mistake." She turned to her tactical officer. "Activate the Prometheus system." Across human space, something began to wake up that made the hidden fleets look primitive. Deep in the asteroid belt around Sol, a construction facility the size of a small moon started its work. It had been built in absolute secrecy over the past 6 months, using technology that pushed the boundaries of physics itself. The Prometheus system was humanity's ultimate weapon, but it was not designed to destroy. It was designed to create. Within hours, it could produce fleets of ships, armies of robots, or entire space stations. It was the tool that would allow humanity to be everywhere at once, to respond to any threat instantly. The first ships produced by Prometheus were unlike anything that had ever existed. They were not piloted by humans, but controlled by artificial intelligences that could think faster than any biological mind. They could repair themselves, upgrade themselves, and most importantly, they could show mercy or ruthlessness as the situation required. The war with the Dominar lasted exactly 4 hours. The artificial intelligence ships appeared in every Dominar system simultaneously. They bypassed the carefully prepared defenses as if they did not exist. They disabled every military vessel without destroying them. They landed on every Dominar world and began broadcasting a simple message: surrender now and live. Continue fighting and face extinction. Supreme Commander Throex watched his empire crumble from his command bunker on the Dominar homeworld. His weapons could not hit the human ships. His shields could not stop their attacks. His soldiers could not fight enemies that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. When the human ships landed outside his bunker, he finally understood what the Zephyrians had faced. This was not just superior technology. This was power beyond imagination, controlled by minds that had learned from 1,000 years of warfare. The door to his bunker simply vanished, revealing a single human in strange armor. The human removed his helmet, showing a face that was calm but determined. "Supreme Commander Throex," the human said, "I am Captain Torres. You are now my prisoner." Throex looked at the human with something like respect. How? How did you defeat us so easily?" Torres looked around the bunker at the broken dreams of conquest. "Because we are not the Zephyrians. We do not conquer through fear. We protect through strength. And our strength has no limits when innocent lives are at stake." 3 days later, Admiral Chun stood again on her observation deck, looking out at the stars. The Dominar had surrendered completely. Their war criminals were being processed. Their victims were being helped. Their government was being rebuilt from the ground up. Commander Park joined her at the window. "Admiral, we are receiving requests for protection from 16 different species. They all fear that someone else might attack them now that they know what happened to the Dominar." Chun nodded slowly. "And so it begins. We are no longer just responding.